Hello, lovely people. Welcome back to Spill the Tea, Lou, with a very special edition with a very special guest, the lovely Kate from Kate and Jimbo. I have pinned their link in the chat. Make sure if you haven't already, I think all of you already do, but if you haven't already, go check them out. And thank you very, very much to Kate for agreeing to join me this evening, given the fact that we're going to be talking about her club. It's not a very happy place to be at the moment. So it's very gracious of her to agree to come and speak to me under the circumstances. Thank you for being here, Kate. And I very much appreciate you.
Always a pleasure to come on here. And you know what? I've never been one to hide. Don't listen to anyone that tells you I'm one to hide, because I'm definitely not. So, it's a pleasure, Lou.
Thank you. And you know what? You're not, Kate, to be fair. Like when Spurs lose, you know, there's a lot of channels do, you know, the live reactions, which I started doing because I'm so cool. But I mean, they have panels and different people, and it's the same people that turn up when the chips are down. You're always quite good for it. But, you know, there comes a point as well where you have to mind yourself. You do just have to mind yourself as well. And sometimes people aren't very mature about it. But we have so many people in the chat. We've loads of lovely people. You're in the chat, Kit. We have lovely Gary, who obviously you know very well. We've our Nathan, who's in there. Mama Flossie, of course. Then we have lovely Jenny. Jenny is here. Nice to see you. Streets is here. God, all of the lovely people are here. And Jenny, Lou and Kate, two of my faves. Well, Jenny, you're one of our faves as well, especially when you say stuff like that. You know, I am not above flattery. You say whatever you like and I'm yours. But, Kate, we're going to get stuck into it because it's not going to be a super long one tonight, guys, because quite honestly, my arthritis is killing me and I'm hungry. So it's not going to be super duper long because, you know, needs must and all that. And as the people in the chat know, Kate, nothing comes above my stomach. When it comes to my stomach, winner. That's it. That comes first and everything else comes after it. You know, priorities, food, then football.
You don't get a figure like mine eating salads, let's just say that.
Do you know what happens to me, Kate? I stress mine all off. I just stress it. I eat it and then I stress it back off. So it's fine, it works. But we are going to start with the match. The match against Atletico. To be fair, right, I'm going to get your thoughts. But I'm going to give mine first so you have time to just gather yourself before you tell us what you think. But obviously, the first goal, the keeper slipped. The second goal, Van de Ven slipped. The third goal, the keeper just passed it to their player. Obviously, then he gets subbed off, is ignored by the manager completely. It is since I've seen the video where Romero has gone to Igor Tudor to tell him to take him off and then goes and comforts him. As after like stabbing him in the back. Then obviously after the keeper swap, it goes to 4-1. But Van de Ven, at one point, as far as I'm concerned, should have gotten a red card. That was his first match after his other red card. But that tackle he put in, both his feet were off the ground, his studs were up, he was out of control. That should have been a red. And I don't even know if it's an accident anymore with the way he's carrying on. But there was a lot of slips all over the pitch, primarily from your players. Because you would assume if the pitch is bad, both teams are going to slip all over the place. I felt I noticed it more with Spurs. And it was at a point where the commentators were like, what boots have they got on? And now everybody on all the channels, as if it's their own original thought. Like nobody's saying, well, the commentator said. Everybody's saying it as if they've plucked this thought out of thin air. Who looks after their boots? As if they've come up with it themselves, right? See if I hear something on the TV. I just say, the commentator said this. Here's my opinion on what the commentator said. But I have seen at least 4 different channels today talking about this as if they've come up with the thought by themselves. Sometimes there's a specific channel that I won't mention, but there is a specific channel that does reactions. And they word for word repeat what the commentator says sometimes and pass it off as their own thought. And I'm like, why would you not just say, the commentator said this, let's discuss. I mean, the fact that the commentator is mentioning it, to me, is a point in and of itself, because obviously they don't say everything on the TV. So the fact that the commentator feels it's appropriate to point it out, it makes it a bigger deal to me. So I would actually rather say, on the TV, this is what they're talking about, because it's an important detail. But anyway, that's just my personal wee thing. Guess is here. We can take away the search party. It's okay. She was clearly just making a cup of tea. That's obviously what happened, and she didn't want to spill it. But some things that come out, they like to give us some facts during the match whenever, you know, things are going wrong. 14 goals conceded since Tudor took over. And I believe you have lost, is it 6 in all competitions in a row now, Kate, you have lost? 6 in all competitions. Yeah. And I mean, their 5th goal, I think it was. It had to be their 5th goal. I've written it down, but I've not written down which goal it was for. Did it have a 5th goal, didn't it? Was there 5? Was it 4? There was so many goals, Kate, but one of the goals. There was one of them. It was the one where Oblak saves it. So yeah, it had to be the last one. The one where Oblak saves it. 12 seconds from the save to the goal. What I found, obviously 12 seconds, very short time, but for me, like, Jed Spence, God bless him, keeps trying to catch the guy. But Romero sort of stands off in the box right when he's right there. Romero stops running. Jed Spence keeps going, but I know I'm repeating it, but I find it so incredibly baffling. You've run all this way, and when you get to the person you're chasing, you stopped. Why would you stop, you maniac? Now, maybe he didn't trust himself not to get another red, because let's face it, Van de Ven isn't worried about it. Maybe Romero is trying to learn from his mistakes, but it just seemed crazy. Richarlison picked up a yellow. He's going to miss the next match. And then he was taken off, but he was taken off not long after that tackle. And I wonder, was he taken off because he was feeling something? He's going to miss the next match anyway through suspension because of the yellows. But I wonder, would he have been injured even if he wasn't suspended? So you were missing him regardless. But I mean, one thing. I'm going to give you one thing, Kate, because I haven't said anything nice about Spurs so far. I thought the referee was god-awful. And I said this in my match reaction. The amount of yellows for the Spurs players, yellow after yellow after yellow after yellow. Atletico Madrid got 0 yellows. And there was one point where their number 18, he basically nearly rips Jed Spence's jersey clean off his body. I mean, he's practically choking him. I genuinely thought the jersey was going to rip. There was one point where one of their players actually backed into Romero, and Romero got the yellow. And I just thought, I have to say, for all the things that Spurs did wrong, for all the things your players did wrong, for all the controversy, which we're going to talk about, I do think it's fair to to make a point of the fact that several of their players should have been on yellows. And we all know when a player is on a yellow, they play differently. They felt they played in that way because they could. If some of those players were on yellows, they would have had to play the game a little bit differently. So I do think, while there's a lot of factors, that's one of them, and you can't just ignore it because it doesn't suit the narrative or the popular thing. The referee was absolutely horrendous, and he was very clearly biased. Very, very clearly biased. There's no way they should have got through that match with no yellows, and I do think it impacts how they play. And obviously then, your players who have experienced some cards recently will have been aware of the fact, okay, we're clearly getting booked for everything here. And they're going to, potentially with Romero, he pulled back because he didn't want to get carded. I mean, that's a very real possibility. Whereas in another circumstance with a different referee, he might have kept, do you know what I mean? Now, like that, I think Atletico Madrid were the better team anyway. There was so many other things. But I do think it's important to point that out. I also think it's a bit wild that after Romero and Palhinha headbutted each other, both of them were very, very clearly concussed. Palhinha, I don't even think knew his own name. Palhinha was taken off, but it took them long enough to take him off. I mean, I could see through the TV as a non-medical expert, this man is clearly concussed. Yeah. Romero was allowed to continue until he went down himself. I just think that was a bit mental as well. And I think there has to be a point where the medical experts just overrule everything else. Just completely. But Kate, I've gone on for quite a few minutes there. I've said lots and lots and lots of things.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to say hello to the people that have joined us since I started rambling, and then the floor is entirely yours, okay?
Okay.
So let me see. Everybody's having a lovely wee chat. Aaron is in the house. Lovely. Aaron is here as well. Let me see. Oh yes, Lumen causing trouble. Yeah, okay. We know about that. We do know about that. He goes about. Yes. So actually, everybody. Oh, Wills. Did I miss Wills coming in? Is Wills here?
I don't think Wills is here.
No, I just saw his name. Oh no. Okay, everybody's working on the L man. Okay, right. Kate, it's yours. What do you have to say about the match, and what do you have to say about what I said about the match? Because not much.
I'm going to be perfectly honest and say I didn't sit fixated to the telly because, first of all, I wasn't interested in the match. I would have quite happily not watched it, which, as you said in the group chat, is a sad reflection on where Spurs are. But to me, the Champions League is just a pain in the bum for us. It's not something I'm even remotely interested in. I'm just interested in staying in the Premier League. So Jim was hoovering. I was in the kitchen making something, and next thing I know, I kind of looked around. I went, "Oh my God, we're losing!" So obviously, we went in and we saw the slip, which was unbelievable scenes, really. And then it wasn't long before it was 2 and 3, both mistakes, like you say, coming from a pitch that was. I mean, they trained on that pitch. I don't understand what the hell was going on. It was like they were in flippers.
Yeah.
So. I thought that's it, ties over. I thought we battled well in the second half. I'm going to give us a little bit of credit and say there were, not everyone, I think the players that know that even if we get relegated are the ones that are, the ones, if we get relegated, they'll still be here. I think they're the ones that we're seeing the fight from, the likes of Archie Gray.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say Jed, but there's links to Jed going to Juventus. But there are some fighters in there.
Yeah.
I totally agree. It was 1,000,000% a red card for me. Me and Jim both said, well, that's him gone. And I mean, I don't know if you've seen the news. There's it's been reported that one of the Tottenham players has come out and said that they don't care about relegation.
Yeah. I have that article, so I'm gonna pull that up in a little minute. And the civil war, obviously, exactly. But that was the crux of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go into that later then.
Oh, don't worry, I've got all the tabs ready, Kate. All the tabs.
So organised. I used to be like this. Now I just turn up on a whim and just do the show, whatever comes to my head at the time. Look, I personally think he had to take Kinsky off at that moment. And I know a lot of people say that he should have just owned it. He chose to play him. He should have kept him on. It would destroy him taking him off. But if he'd have stayed on and made another mistake, that could destroy him as well. So
I said exactly that on my match reaction. Exactly that. My thing was, I completely agree with you. He was 100% right to take him off, because at the end of the day, do you see now? It's 15 minutes of madness. You can put it behind you. Yeah. If he had played a full 90 minutes and let in 5 or 6 or 7 goals, which he would have the way he was going, that might do more damage than just ripping the plaster off, getting him off the pitch. I completely agree with you. Thank God for you, Kate.
It's just, if you ask me, it was a very strange decision to play Kinsky. And I've been one of these who this season has said, look, Vicario's not playing his best. We should try him. The fact he tried him in this game says to me he's probably actually not that bothered about the Champions League. But then I wonder why he played the team that he played. I'd rather he'd have just chucked anyone out there. Do you know what I mean?
I have a theory. And again, it's from the outside looking in. We had this at United. And I know all the time I bring it back to United, but I find it easier to relate. We had Onana, who was terrible, who was underperforming week in, week out, woeful. He was basically throwing the ball in the back of the net. It was mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. And then all of our fans were calling for Bayender. Play him. And then when he was played, he also wasn't very good. But I think at some point, the manager is seeing what the fans are seeing. They're not maybe doing what the fans are telling them, but they're seeing what the fans are seeing. at some point, they have to take the chance. And I wonder if actually he thought genuinely Kinsky would be better than Vicario. I think he genuinely believed Kinsky was, because the last time Kinsky played, he had a really good performance by all accounts. That's why the fans were calling for him. So I wonder if he actually genuinely believed. I don't think he was trying him out. I actually think him taking Vicario out was a sign that he was taking the competition seriously and thought Kinsky would do a better job than Vicario.
Maybe you may be right. Apparently, it was all quite last minute. He literally walked in the dressing room and went, "You're playing," to Kinsky, according to reports. So I don't know how true it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, this guy, with no disrespect to him, but he's only been there 5 minutes, and that's a massive change to suddenly take out Vicario and put Kinsky in such a big game. Although I think I speak for most Spurs fans when I say it's not that big a game for me, and a lot of Spurs fans feel the same. But yeah, look, it was just a shambles. Kinsky coming off and then Tudor not even acknowledging him. I mean, that's a disgrace in itself.
Yeah.
I mean, they said to Tudor, was it Romero's decision to take Kinsky off? He went, "No, I made the decision." But we all saw that Romero had a word. There's, again, no leadership at all in this team, even from the manager. I literally am sitting here. I haven't streamed all week for various reasons, but I was waiting because I thought when he gets sacked, I'm going to have to do a stream. Yes. And I cannot believe they're giving him the Liverpool game.
Yeah.
And the rumours are that he's getting Liverpool, Atletico and Forest. And then if results don't improve, they'll change. But by then it could be way too late.
Well, there's so many manager rumors for you guys at the minute as well. It's crazy. Now, I'm going to just jump into the chat for a little minute, and then I'm going to look at some of the reaction to the substitution of Kinsky, and then we'll come back and see. I have so many tabs, I don't know what I've got open. We'll see what I've lined up next, because I don't know. Lovely iNotes is in the house. Welcome. Nathan says the current Spurs manager doesn't even want to take his name, is horrible in making decisions, not starting Vicario, then subbing out Kinsky in the 17 minutes as if Vicario didn't concede too. I understand what people are saying. Look, he put Vicario on to stop the goals and it didn't stop the goals. Do you know what I mean? It didn't actually make any difference at all. Nathan also says, I disagree. For a person who has played football semi-professionally, the worst blow to someone's confidence is to sub out after just a few minutes. The thing is, Nathan, that might be the worst thing for you. Everybody isn't the same. So just because that would be the worst thing for you in your experience doesn't mean that would be the worst thing for everybody. So as some of the people know on the channel, I actually studied psychotherapy. I'm a trained psychotherapist. And one of the first things you learn is that everybody reacts differently to the same thing based on their own previous experiences. So I don't think you can say, well, this is the worst thing for me, therefore it's the worst thing for everyone. I think this would be the worst thing for some people. And for some people, it's better to just get them out of the fight. As far as I was concerned watching it, by the third goal, he was already gone. By the third goal, you could see him when he lies on the ground and he just puts his head in the hands. He knows, you can see it, he's done. By the third goal, he's done. And I think really it was a mercy taking him off. I don't think maybe mercy was Igor Tudor's intention, but I do believe that it was a mercy taking him off 100%. Yeah. Let me see. Rain is in the house. I believe Rain is one of your lovelies.
He is.
Actually, I love, when we were doing the stream, the mental health stream, I said I love a wee quote. So I'm going to read this now. So let go of the grudges of yesterday and hold on to the hope of tomorrow. I like that, Rain. I like it. But Rain says, I feel so sorry for Kinsky. We never should have signed him as number 2 and stunted his development. Now Tudor threw him into a lion's den of a situation. And I have to say, from what I've seen in the fallout, because there's been so much fallout, it seems to be people have more of an issue with the fact that he was started in the first place and the fact that Tudor ignored him coming off the pitch rather than the fact that he was substituted. That actually does seem to be the consensus. We have lovely Destiny in the house saying hi to you and hi to me. Everybody saying hi. Mohammed is in the house and has actually made a live and says big up to you, Kate. Streets, we are all still wondering why so many players were slipping. Do you know what I wondered? Were their studs not long enough? Tell us the theory, Kate. I love a theory. Tell us.
I think everyone's so down with Spurs that the tears from Spurs fans had soaked the pitch that much, no one could keep up. That's what I think. But yeah, that's all I could think of.
That wasn't what I was expecting.
Was you expecting a sensible answer?
Well, not sensible, because you know I love a bit of a mad theory, but it just didn't go the direction. I thought it was going to be like a conspiracy theory, like they filed off the ends of their studs or something, so they're not long enough to catch the grass. You know, something like that. But no, I didn't expect tears. Love it. Gary says we have too many players that don't want to be there. Never mind play for the club. 100%, and I think a lot of that is ego related. Let me see. Everybody saying hi. Hope all is well. Lovely Harold is in the house. Harold says, didn't know you were live. Sorry for being late. Not a problem, Harold. You're very welcome to be here. Kate, Ollie is the one that can save you. Now, I don't believe Ollie will ever go to another Prem club other than United. However, I actually agree with Harold. I think someone to go in, make them happy, put an arm around their shoulder, play to their strengths, and just, you know, I think Ollie would be stupendous for you guys. And I'm not even taking the mickey. I don't think it'll ever happen. He would never go. But I really believe he would be the opposite of Tudor. Completely the opposite. He would make them happy.
Yeah,
and happy people are more productive.
I wouldn't turn him down, but then I don't think there's many that I'd turn down at this moment in time.
Fair.
But it wouldn't be one of my choices because of his connection with United. Yeah. And I don't think that he would ever come.
No.
But I think that's the sort of person we need. That's why we all crave Pochettino, the arm around the shoulder, that you know what, you can do this. I mean, I watched Ange Postecoglou yesterday. He was doing the commentary on TNT and they asked him about Spurs, and he said the thing they've got to do is make him realise they're good players. And I think, you know, everyone said, oh, Tudor won't take any shit. He's going to come in and kick their asses. And I sort of said, well, he can't go in and kick their asses. He's going to be here for a few games. You know, I'm not saying he's got to go in with kid gloves, but there's got to be somewhere in the middle. And I just think this appointment is proving to be an absolute disaster class again from the Spurs board, who literally have not got a clue what they're doing.
I have to say, when you've got him, I understood the theory. Now, obviously, you don't know much about him. You can only read what you can, you know, the stats and everything. I understood the thinking because there's so many egos. There is kind of poor behavior. There is sort of a poor attitude within the dressing room. I thought maybe you did need somebody to just give them a rocket up the backside. I thought they overruled Frank. They sort of swamped Frank. I felt like Frank wasn't strong enough for them. So I thought maybe you did need someone who would kind of rule the roost, because as we can see at the moment, your players are ruling the roost. And so I thought very much, actually, I could really understand what they were trying to do. Somebody who specializes in crises, who's not afraid to say what he thinks, who's not worried about upsetting them because he's not planning on staying anyway. So he's just going to do what he wants to do, and to maybe kind of put them back in their box a bit.
Yeah.
So I understood the theory. Sometimes until it happens, you don't know the practice. Now that we've seen the practice, clearly it's not working. So I do think you probably do need to go completely the other side with maybe an Ollie type. So let me see, what is it? Everybody's saying he's too nice. So let me see. Destiny says Ollie is the sort of personality is what we need. But yeah, I agree. Ollie won't come to Spurs. And I think it's nice to, we say Ollie, but he represents a type of manager. if rather than him personally. iNote says, Ollie is too nice for a club like Spurs. They need someone to sort them out. The thing is, that's what Tudor was supposed to be, and it hasn't worked. Everybody, I think, thought this. Well, a lot of people thought this. They need somebody who's going to do that. But actually, it's not, and that's what I mean. Not everybody reacts the same. Some players will have reacted to that. Some players will have went worse. They would have been, you can't tell me what to do. Do you know what I mean? Like real teenager. Nathan says, Ollie, man, it would be so difficult for him at Spurs. And it would never happen, but that type of personality. Jenny is saying players need someone to lift their spirits and instill confidence. And that's what I think would be good about him. Destiny says, Ange made me miss him after his comments. We're going to talk about him in a minute, so we're not going to go too far into that just for right now. Nathan has a question. I have this question, and I'm sure this must have been discussed before, but Kate, do you think Spurs winning the Europa and managing UCL and Premier League both caused the downfall? The same would happen to United?
Not really. I think what caused the downfall is our board not investing in our squad. We've got a wafer-thin squad anyway, and then we've just been inundated with injuries. I mean, at one point we had 15 for first team players out. So, and we just haven't got we haven't even got a squad really to regularly compete in the Premier League, let alone the Champions League. And so I would say 95% of everything that's wrong at Spurs is because of the board. And I really believe that.
Yeah. I completely agree, because I feel the same about our club. But lovely Marv is in the house with his champers, but time is flying away from us, Kate. So let us have a look at the reaction to Kinsky being subbed off. There we are. So David De Gea was the very first one to come out. So a lot of goalkeepers have now followed suit. A lot of people were quote tweeting him, but this was like in the match, because I saw this and I actually spoke about this in my match reaction because he did it so quickly. And obviously he didn't get off to the best start at Man United, David De Gea. He became one of the best, if not the best goalkeeper in the world for a spell, but he didn't start like that. And obviously it was a big stage, and you can probably relate to Kinsky. So he said, no one who hasn't been a goalkeeper can understand how difficult it is to play in this position. Keep your head up and you will go again. We then see later on, Courtois has come out and said, I told Antonin Kinsky, as I also made mistakes at Atletico and I made mistakes at Chelsea. I also got nutmegged twice by Messi. I know. That would make you feel better, to be fair. I have told him that he has to learn from this. Life is hard, but he has to remain confident. That's the way. The goalkeeper position is super vulnerable. When we make mistakes, it'll end up in a goal. I ask Tottenham to support him and all his teammates as well. And then lastly, I'm actually going to play the message that Peter Schmeichel sent to Antonin Kinsky. It was very heartfelt, actually. I thought it was quite sweet. And considering, Peter Schmeichel is a bit of a Judas, I don't always like what he has to say. But I did think this was quite a nice message. Have I got you on the right string? Yeah. So just tell me if you can't hear it.
And I would say to Kinsky here, by the way, directly to you, that we've all been there. We're all goalkeepers, as David De Gea said, it's a different position to everywhere else. And we know if we make a mistake, well, it's more often than not, it's a goal. So the reality of goalkeeping is you are going to make mistakes, and it is going to cost you goals. And the art of goalkeeping is, how do you react to that? He didn't get a chance to react to that yesterday. But I will say to you directly, nothing wrong yesterday. You made a mistake, but you, as a human being, as a person, did nothing wrong, and you were hung out to dry. I think that was incredibly wrong. And if you ever want to have a chat, I'm here to talk to you. I'm not patronizing you in any way. I know you probably have a team around you, but I've been there. I know what it's like, and I can help you if you want to have that help. So, you did absolutely wrong.
Uncle Pete.
I have to say, I did think that was really lovely. And, not only has he been a very successful goalkeeper on the world stage, but his son also is in the same arena. And I'm sure he looked at it as a father being like, if that was my son. I would imagine he wasn't even thinking of himself. He's thinking of his son. And I just thought, you know what? David De Gea, ex-United, Peter Schmeichel, ex-United, they're like, we know what it's like. We know what it's like when everybody hates you. We'll help. It's okay.
I do think goalkeepers do tend to stick together. They're very, very quick to stick up for one another. But I thought Peter Schmeichel, I know what you're saying about him, but I just think he's a different class. I just think he's
so
such
good.
what a wonderful keeper. And he seems like a great human as well. But everyone who come out with support, it's like they say, goalkeeper's so difficult. It's a lonely position, you know. You're stuck at the end of the field. And if you make one mistake, chances are it is going to be a goal. Yeah. So, yeah.
And that's the thing, though. Like, if an outfield player makes a mistake, do you know what I mean? The ball can be turned over. There might be an attack. If a goalkeeper makes a mistake, that's it. It's a goal. It's so noticeable. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's a little bit more. And then we're going to get into some of the comments in the chat. And then we're going to go to the next bit. So this is actually what I thought was very interesting. So obviously we've looked at all the other professional goalkeepers reaching out and you know, saying nice things. But I thought this was very interesting. Mickey van de Ven on Antonin Kinsky. It's terrible for him too. He's making his debut. You wouldn't wish this on anyone. On the defeat, it's terrible, to be honest. A doomsday scenario. Everything that could go wrong in the first 20 minutes went wrong. Everyone slips, including me. Yeah, we know. Those are moments you simply can't do anything about. I can't just stand here and start blaming the pitch. No, you definitely can't. But there's one more thing. I was very prepared. I had loads of stuff to share on this because I've had some time today. So let me see. I thought this was quite sweet. So this is on Kinsky's actual Instagram. So these are, now I'm not going to show all of them, but these are some of the replies he was getting, which I thought was really lovely because sometimes football fandom can be a little bit toxic. Yeah. But I thought this was just lovely. If you look at, you can see all the little love hearts, all the stay strong. There's so many stay strong. Some of the Atletico Madrid fans are in there. Like, just really, really lovely. So much stay strong. That really, 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 really nice. Keep your head up. Really, really nice. And I thought that was lovely. And so he then did come out. And this is what he shared afterwards. He said, thanks for messages. From dream to nightmare to dream again. See you. So I thought, you know, that's a nice way to end that wee section. Well, it's the end of the section on Kinsky, but we're going to talk about him slightly when we move on to Igor Tudor, ignoring all his players. But I mean, it's the end of the focus on Kinsky. The next focus is going to be Tudor because the man is moving mad. But the messages are lovely, Kate.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's nice. And I think it is the goalkeeper union, if you like. They do tend to all stand up for one another. And look, he just had one of them nights. I think most goalkeepers have had those nights. You know, it just happened on a big stage at a time when Tottenham really didn't need any more shit piled on top of them. But it is what it is. You know, it is what it is. I don't think we'll keep him, but then he'll probably want to go with everyone else. The rats jumping off the sinking ship.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Now, let me scroll up because I know the chat has been active and I don't want to miss anybody. Speaking of sinking ships, there's Nathan. Spurs were a sinking ship. And it's unfair to expect any manager to come in mid-season and somehow patch up and make them afloat. Not everyone gets the new manager bounce. Now, what I just want to say on this, I know a lot of Spurs fans, and I see your face, are not very happy with Tudor. Just want him out the door, 100%. What I will say is I've seen a certain Spurs fan, that's not you, say, and their words today, their exact words were, anyone but Tudor. And I'm like, well, about a month ago, it was anyone but Frank.
Yeah.
So I did just feel a little bit like, while Tudor is doing some crazy things, which we are going to talk about, I do think maybe the expectation is a little bit harsh because up until this match, I didn't think he'd done anything crazy. It was just that he hadn't fixed what was broken. I think it was more broken than he thought it was going to be. But I don't watch it as closely as you.
Yeah, no, he had
so
done
you
some
tell
crazy
me
things. Like we bought in a new left back,
Yes.
And he didn't play him, and he put Archie Gray there, and just stupid little things that he did that were unnecessary. And it was like he was experimenting, and the players looked confused as to what they were doing. So, I mean,
not the time to experiment.
No, I would say from watching since Tudor has come in, we actually look worse than we did under Frank. And if I said to Jim today, he disagreed, but I think if we still had Frank, no matter what, we would have either drawn or won that game against Athletic, because he was brilliant in the Champions League. We was flying.
You were flying in the Champions League. I'm going to give you that. You were flying. And I actually, during the match, I had that thought. I was like, Frank was doing terrible in the Premier League, but in Europe, he was doing quite well. What I will say, though, is having Frank as the manager wouldn't have changed the referee, who was abysmal. And Atletico Madrid, they were so good, Kate. Like they were, it wasn't that just that Spurs were bad. It was that they were really, really good. And I kind of said actually similar about Real Madrid and City. I didn't think City were woeful. They weren't great, but they weren't like horrific. It was just that Real Madrid were so good. And I think sometimes it's both. It's not necessarily just the losing team is terrible. Sometimes the winning team is incredible. I'm not saying you're definitely wrong. You don't know. But I don't know if I would. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know if I'd go that far, because it wouldn't change the referee and it wouldn't change the Atletico Madrid that turned up. It probably would have changed who was in your net. But like that, Vicario's not been good either. So if that good Atletico Madrid turns up and Vicario's in net, who's to say he doesn't let them in as well? Do you know what I mean?
We did have the most. Yeah, we had the most clean sheets in the Champions League.
Really? That's insane.
And he took
that's crazy
in, and
that actually gives a really good context, because and this is a thing that only a Spurs fan, well, Spurs fans and people that pay more attention than me, I watch it and I see how I feel about it. I don't necessarily do all the stats. It depends what it is, but I mean, I didn't realize that. So
more than right.
He substituted, or he rested, or whatever you want to call it, the keeper that had the most clean sheets in the competition. That's mental. Like, that's insane.
He is, do you know what? I've got no words. I think he might actually be, he isn't actually Igor Tudor. I think he's one of the Chuckle brothers in disguise. It's the only thing I can think of.
I actually can't. That's absolutely mental. I didn't realize that at all. That's crazy. That's blown my mind a little bit. That's nuts. Guess is saying David De Gea knows about tough times on the pitch. Harold is saying, Kate, honestly, I believe a lot of players lost their heart and grit seeing fans wanting to lose just to stop another team from winning rather than winning yourself. That's see the action, Kate. Tell us.
Do you know what? Harold, I'm sure you're a lovely person, but I'm so sick of this agenda that's being thrown out, because there was a few on social media who wanted to lose against City and whatnot, but the majority of Tottenham fans did not want us to lose. And I don't think that had any bearing on the players whatsoever. I think Arsenal like to say it about themselves as if, oh, it's karma because you wanted to lose. The majority of Tottenham fans did not want us to lose. I would never want us to lose ever. And most people feel that way. Just because a few people on social media who say things for clicks.
A loud minority.
Yes, exactly. Don't judge us all the same.
That's good. That's good to know. No, Harold, I have to say, Harold is very lovely. But it's an interesting point, because you're looking at it from the inside. Harold is a United fan like me. So we're looking at it from the outside. Yeah. So it's different when you're on the inside. So again, and that does happen. That does happen. A loud minority sometimes just takes over. And it seems like more people are saying it than are, to be fair. And when rivals jump on the bandwagon who are claiming to be neutral but aren't, that feeds that fire as well.
Exactly.
Lovely Shem is in the house. Good evening to the beautiful Princess Kate and the lovely Lady Lou, the loveliest ladies on YouTube. Hope you are both doing wonderfully this evening. Shem always makes me smile because he always says the loveliest thing. I also hope Shem is having a lovely evening.
Yeah, lovely.
Destiny. Destiny has a scoop. I met Peter Schmeichel. he probably pronounces it Petter. At the Bullring in Birmingham City. Nice guy. He was buying candles. I love candles. And iNotes is saying W for Peter Schmeichel. Guess is saying that's sweet. Nathan is saying the tweet says Uncle Shmee. Streets is saying the empathy of a father, and I do think that very much came across. Rain has stuff to say. The massive injury crisis has had a catastrophic impact on the squad's already fragile confidence after finishing 17th last season. No extra players in January must have left them feeling isolated. And I do think, we're going to talk about it now. Once I'm going to fly through some more of these comments and then we're going to look at this. But I do think this civil war and I'm leaving anyway attitude, it's just going to kill yous. It's just going to kill yous. Let me see. Nathan says Onana should have posted too. That probably would have made him feel worse, to be fair. Lovely Luke is in the house. Welcome to Guess is saying, let's not mention Onana. I have a spanner, people. I love it. Rain is saying, I am loving this collective circling off the wagons around our wounded colleague by the goalkeeper community. It's a pity the rest of the football community isn't like that, because it does seem unique to goalkeepers. Marv is saying, I'm vetoing this, by the way. We will take that goalkeeper if you take Onana. We don't want either of them. Sorry, pal. We're getting VTech back, and we're going to have Sene Lamans and VTech, and we're going to be unbelievable. Let me see what else. Destiny says Mickey has been nothing but a spoiled brat in his performances. Absolutely agree. Marv says Van de Ven, I've been training a lot with Romero. Sorry to the fans. You can tell you two have been hanging out. Let me see. Nathan says Kinsky, don't worry, mate, you will do well. And Mama Flossie echoes what you said, Kate. A goalkeeper is the loneliest player on the pitch, 100%. Let me see. What else? Yeah, iNotes beat us to it. Spurs should have kept Frank. They had the most clean sheets in the Champions League. So iNotes is keyed in. Lovely Ray is here. Now, Ray is an Arsenal fan, but he's a lovely Arsenal fan. He says, what do Spurs need to do right now to save the season?
What they should have done is on Tuesday, sacked him on the spot and brought someone else in. And I can't believe I'm going to say these words, but even Sean Dyche has turned down Tottenham. How does that look?
We're going to talk about Sean Dyche because my wee pal VG has been talking about this. We love VG. Sam is in the house. Lovely, Sam. Thank you for being here. Mohammed, and this is the last one I'm going to take on this, and then we're going to go to the next week section. Mohammed says, with hindsight, was sacking Ange still the right thing to do?
Jimbo and I both said he deserved the start of the season and give him till Christmas. So, look, I don't know where we'd be if we'd have kept him. But I don't think we should have sacked him when we did, because I think if you win a European trophy, you deserve
something,
to start the season. So, but like I say, I cannot say what situation we'd be in, because let's be fair, our league form under Ange was terrible as well. So, who knows?
Yeah, and that's true. Sometimes the trophies paper over the cracks as well. I'm laughing at Rain here. Rain is saying, yes, Lou, I'm a talker. Well, don't you worry, Rain. So am I. We could be here all night. We won't tonight, but tomorrow, Friday Night Live is always a bumper show. So get back here tomorrow night and we'll talk. We'll talk for about 2.5 hours tomorrow.
You and Ash
will be on with me. Bless him. And yeah. But let's see. What was the next thing? Yes. So we're going to talk about Igor Tudor next. I'm going to share my screen. It's not as if we haven't been talking about him, but we're going to talk about him more specifically. So, can you see that? Have I put it up? No, I haven't, obviously. I have to check myself if I've put it up, because I can see it and then I go to read it and then I realize nobody else can see it because I haven't clicked do you know when it's the add to stage button? I always forget to click that. So I've shared it, but I haven't added it to the stage for the people to see. Dope. But anyway, this is from Spurs Army, but it's actually from Matt Law. So it is claimed that Igor Tudor needed to be reminded to inform Vicario that he was going to be dropped ahead of naming the team for the Atletico Madrid game. Additionally, players were understood to be shocked that Tudor did not consult Kinsky when he was subbed off at the Wanda Metropolitano. Substitutes João Palhinha and Conor Gallagher rushed down the tunnel to offer support. And then obviously we now know of the incident where the commentators told us that Jed Spence got to the bench, sat down, got straight back up, walked over, tapped him and made sure he shook his hand, because he didn't just ignore Vicario, or he didn't just ignore Kinsky, he ignored every single player coming off the pitch. And I've seen some people saying Jed Spence shouldn't have done that, it's a bit, snotty. I've seen some people saying it was he was right to tell him this is what we do here. I do think it was important to note it wasn't just Kinsky he ignored. He didn't just ignore Kinsky, he ignored everybody. I'd say, though, it sticks out with Kinsky because he should have comforted the young goalkeeper that he had just debuted and then subbed after 15 minutes. What do you make of the fact that he ignored him? What do you make of the fact of what Jed Spence did? Which, I'll be honest, I would be Jed Spence. See, in that scenario, do you know when you hold the door open for people and they don't say thank you? I'm like, you're welcome.
Yeah,
so I'm Jed Spence, so I think it was perfectly fine. But I mean, that's just because that's what I would do.
I think Jed, a lot of people are on the fence about Jed because he's come across that he's not got the greatest attitude previously. However, I like him. I like the fact he's got a bit of swagger and got a bit about him. And I like that he did that, because any decent human being, I'm sorry, would have put an arm around that kid's shoulders. He's a young man. He's had the worst 16 minutes of his career, and he's come off and his manager's just totally ignored him. I think it's an absolute disgrace. Yeah. But at the same time, I also look at our players and think most of you are disgraced this season as well. So, but I think it just strikes me that it stands out a mile that these players are not buying into anything to do with this guy. There's literally no respect there. There's no understanding of what they're supposed to be doing. And it stands out a mile. They look like strangers playing on the pitch. The left side don't know what the right side's doing. It's shambolic. You could literally, if I watched this on a film, that's the story of Spurs' season, I'd be going, this is so far-fetched. This would never happen.
Yeah.
And it is.
You would think it's so unrealistic.
Yeah, it is. It's Spurs. And, every year I think it can't get worse, or they're not going to do anything that surprises me this year, and they do something else. So the fact that he still is in a job and going to be taking the Liverpool game. I mean, Daniel Levy even said to Harry Redknapp, they spoke on the phone this week and said, if I was still the chairman, I would have hired you by now. And that's why I always said it, careful what you wish for. I moaned about Levy, I did. But when it comes down to people saying, why haven't you protested against Levy? I used to say, because sometimes it's better the devil you know than the devil you don't. And you know what? I'd take Levy back in a heartbeat than this guy we've got at the minute, because he can't make decisions. He's an ex-gooner. He's not a football guy. And it's just a disgrace. And this board will deserve it if we go down. The fans won't, but the board will deserve every second of it.
How does obviously you don't know the answer, but how does an ex-gooner end up buying Spurs? I mean, that's how would an ex-United fan buy a
well, he doesn't buy. He's not bought them, but he's like our chairman director of football type guy, that Vinay Venkatesham. But I mean, how they've ever allowed it? It was at Arsenal for years.
Mental. That's completely insane, Kate.
I'm baffled with it.
Now we're gonna slightly, just for 1 minute now, talk about Spurs. Sam, who's a Chelsea fan, says they're talking amongst themselves. Sanchez is the best of our bunch, which is why I ain't saying much. Well, Sam, We're going to be talking about you guys tomorrow with Kai. So tonight it's Spurs, but tomorrow Chelsea's getting it. So make sure you're here 7:30 because we're going to talk about your bunch and your Sanchez. So don't you worry about that. You haven't gotten off. I'm just getting around to you. Everybody's getting a special show this week. Rain says this Tudor appointment has been a total farce from start to finish. I'm surprised he didn't waive a tube ticket in his first interview. Shem here says, I got angry about what Spence did, seeing as he and Van de Ven both ignored Frank at that time. Every manager has a problem with Spence. And I think that's probably, again, that's the thing as an outsider, I wouldn't know. I'm looking at that one thing in isolation and I'm like, all right, fair. But then you get the background and you're like, aha.
Yeah, Thomas Frank walked over to them both to shake their hand. They both blanked him and walked away from him. So yeah, when I forgot about that, but when Shem says that, it's like, really? You're not really your place to say anything after what you did there, but
so like who, and that's the thing, right? Frank and Tudor are incredibly different.
Yeah.
So who are they going to bring in that they would respect? Do you know, sometimes it's so toxic. I think it doesn't matter who you bring in, it's going to be a problem until you remove the players causing the toxicity. Like, no harm. See if we still had Sancho and Rashford and Garnacho in the Man United dressing room. I don't care who you bring in. You could bring Sir Alex Ferguson back. Not going to work. You have to remove the toxicity. So these players leaving actually might end up being a blessing in disguise for you guys. But Ray says, it feels like the players don't like Tudor's aloof style. Yeah, but it feels like the players don't like anyone at the minute, to be honest. The Harold says, the manager is mentally out of balance. It's not an excuse, but an explanation for his behaviour. And basically, he shouldn't be at Spurs. He just shouldn't be at Spurs. Mohammed says, has anyone done any research and seen this behaviour in other games? Is this a pattern? I would, but no time. Actually, Kate, well, you're best fit to tell us. Does he always ignore the subs when they come off? Like, is it something that's come up before?
I don't know that much about him, Lou. I didn't research into him because
I'm just curious. I might look at the subs in the previous matches he had with you guys, because actually that's an interesting point. Does he always ignore them? Or was it because you're losing? Because I would just be curious. Obviously it was highlighted, but is that, it's not that it's okay, but does he always do it? I'm just curious now. Street says, and again, this actually brings us back to Chelsea, man management is the most important aspect of coaching. And now when Rosenio come out, and it was obviously his phrasing, but when he talked about management being the aging of men, he's clearly referring to the fact that an important aspect is the man management aspect, and everybody laughed at him. Everybody absolutely ripped the bejesus out of him. And now that Tudor's made a mess of it, they're like, do you know what? He's probably right there. He probably had a good point.
Jesus out of him.
Sorry, that was a very Irish phrase.
I didn't realise people actually said that. I thought that was just like something that people just made up to do the accent.
We don't say top of the morning to you. That one's made up. But bejesus is real. Absolutely. Bejesus is the realest thing that ever happened. That and a sausage sandwich with brown sauce.
Oh, yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I'm making myself hungry here. And Streets is saying that Liverpool game could be really dark. I actually think that's why they don't want to bring a replacement in, because I don't think they would have time to do anything. So they might as well just let him finish sinking the ship before they try and let somebody bring it back up to the surface. But what else? Has anybody else said anything crazy? Jimbo Not Kate is here. Woohoo! What are we saying? Right.
It'd be a bit weird if I come in here all smiles and happiness when our club is in complete disarray. It'd be a bit bipolar, I think, if I did that. So
Kate's like, I'm totally fine. Don't know about you lot, but I'm
fine.
Now, Kate, without further ado, because we're nearly at the end of our time together, and just at that moment, No Man's Sky Clippy has arrived to say, top of the morning, ladies. Oh dear. But VG, my friend Vincenzo Grappa, VG, the man, okay? So he knows things. normally about Nottingham Forest. He's very clued into Nottingham Forest, everything that goes on with them. He actually posted a picture of himself the other day and Marinakis together. And he was outside the dressing room when the last manager was being sacked. I can't remember which one it was, but they actually asked him to stop tweeting, and he stopped. There was no tweets for 3 hours because he was literally giving updates every 3 minutes, sat outside the dressing room while sacking was happening. So he tends to be quite keyed into Nottingham Forest. And he put up the story there a little while ago about there might be some legal difficulty between Sean Dyche and Nottingham Forest based on his sacking. So he seems to be following the Sean Dyche story at the moment. And so he came out the other day, and this was on, or well, I say the other day, yesterday, it feels like the other day, yesterday evening, tentative contact made by Tottenham Hotspur with representative team of Sean Dyche. A basic retainer is being discussed to have the ex-Nottingham Forest and Burnley boss as a ready option should Tottenham Hotspur require to hire. No news on any change yet, more to follow. Now, he then put out a slight update saying that basically Sean Dyche was reluctant because it would be a short-term one and he didn't want to be a short-term, and that potentially the legal case that he mentioned in his previous story might prevent this from happening. And so his story, well, nobody is crediting him. Nobody's talking about Vinny G, okay? But somebody, Miguel Delaney, has since come out with the story, not giving him any credit, as if it's an exclusive to Miguel Delaney, and he has said, Sean Dyche is being considered as a potential replacement for Igor Tudor at Tottenham Hotspur. Breaking, except this only came out today. It says Dyche is reluctant to take on a short-term role. He is considered as one of the few survival specialists remaining in the game. And I haven't shared that one. There you go. There's the wee animation. But that's Miguel Delaney. But again, essentially Miguel Delaney is only sharing the update that Vinny Grappa shared the day before. So I find he's very good and he's very fast. He tweets like every 5 minutes. So anything happens and he puts it out there. Now, I have seen some other people talking about maybe Ange, and then Ange was asked about it and he said no comment. But sure, Ange had said previously, I would never go back to a club. When he was on, was it the Overlap, Stick to Football, whatever podcast he was on, one of the Gary Neville ones. And he said, I would never go back. And now all of a sudden he's going back because somebody on Twitter said it. I think Sean Dyche sounds like it has a bit more legs, except this barrier seems to be, yes, he doesn't want a short-term deal, but even if they offer him a long-term deal, it actually seems to be the legal case with Nottingham Forest that's the blocker for that. Not that he hates Spurs or that are so woeful he won't do it. It actually seems to be more to do with the legal case. But, if they could do a workaround, do you think he could make a difference?
I don't know, but I'm willing to take the chance. I mean, a lot of people saying Harry Redknapp, which I love Harry.
Bless him, he's old.
Adore him, but he's 78. We'd probably kill him off. I can't cope with being responsible for Harry Redknapp's death. What would the world do without Harry's roly-polies? So, look, I'd take Sean Dyche. I'd take Tim Sherwood. I don't know. I don't think there's anyone out there where I could look at them and go, except Pochettino. I think if you brought Poch in, it makes a difference because it lifts the fans and it lifts the players. But, I mean, we could have got Poch. He's got a £14 million release clause, but he would be walking away from the USA national team. He'd probably get, a target on his back from Donald Trump for one. So, look, I don't know. I think the writing's on the wall, and I know Jimbo's having a pop at me for being miserable, but I only say things as I see it. I'm not trying to be doom and gloom, but I have resigned myself to us going down because I don't see the board making decisions quick enough, and I don't see them making the right decisions either. So I think this will be the year that we're playing Lincoln City. Go on the Imps. Just around the corner from me. I really think that we're going to go down this year.
I have to say, I actually think you are as well. When you first said it, and I'll never forget, you were the first person I heard saying it, and I thought she's nuts. She's lost the bat. But actually, I think you were right. And I hate to say that, but genuinely, I actually think you might now.
The funny thing is, I see so many YouTubers like crying about it, but they're not crying because we're going down. They're crying because their revenue will drop from YouTube. And I'm like, really? That ain't even crossed my mind. I mean, we're a tiny channel, you know, compared to some channels, but that wouldn't even cross my brain. You know, I'd talk about Tottenham if they were in the Conference League. You know, there's always something to talk about with Spurs, but yeah, it's craziness, and it's bonkers to think of Spurs being relegated. But I think it will happen.
Sometimes the reality isn't as bad as the thought.
Yeah.
Sometimes the thought of something is worse than the reality. And now, obviously, it wouldn't be top of your list of concerns anyway. But I mean, to be honest, the content might almost, and I say this tentatively, be better because everybody already knows the teams in the Premier League. And there's already so many people doing the Premier League. Like, not many people cover the Championship. If somebody's covering it and they're doing it regularly and it's all new teams to talk about and you're talking about the teams that are coming back up, and actually from a content point of view, if they had any brains at all, it would be better. But obviously that's not your concern. But my point is they've obviously just not thought past the end of their own bloody nose. But No Man's Sky Clippy says, I have come to know that La Liga do not like winning against Premier League sides. In fact, since the Premier League sides shit the bed in round of 16. Those fans have come out of the woodwork and are making noise. Overtime, rage baiting. So No Man's Sky is not pleased with La Liga. Having none of it. But the very last thing we're going to talk about, Kate, because then we have to finish up because my stomach is had enough of me. And the civil war in the dressing room. Okay, so this is I don't even know this is from Read Liverpool without the first L.com. Look, everybody's talking about it. But can I see who the author is? It's by Kellen Sarson. And it's a 3-minute read. But it's labeled, Read Liverpool. I couldn't see the first L. My eyesight is so bad. Obviously, you guys play them next, so that's why they have a vested interest. Spurs civil war erupts as Igor Tudor sack decision made before the Liverpool clash. The decision being that he's not sacked. I love the headlines because people go, oh, he's sacked. No, the decision about him being sacked is that he's not. But this is the part I want to read and then we'll get your reaction and then we will part ways. Beyond the result, the most pressing issue for Tudor is a squad that appears to be fracturing. The Athletic's Jay Harris reports a dressing room in open civil war where senior players Van de Ven and Romero, are openly questioning the commitment of their teammates. Some squad members have expressed displeasure at the application of others who they believe are not motivated to help their cause. Most damningly, at least one player has reportedly told teammates he's not too concerned by the possibility of relegation because he believes he can and will leave the club this summer. Tudor's man management has also come under fire following his decision to substitute 22-year-old goalkeeper Antonin Kinsky just 17 minutes into the Atletico Madrid match. His failure to acknowledge the distraught youngster as he left the pitch reportedly left senior players seething. Despite this, Tudor defended the move as necessary and for the team. With Mickey Van de Ven suspended and Christian Romero a doubt, the defensive outlook for the trip to Liverpool remains bleak. Bleak is probably the word you would use. Bleak's a good word.
I would have said disastrous myself, but I mean, I can't, if the medical team are worth anything, then Romero and Paulinho won't be playing because, like you say, the concussion protocol is 7 days. I'm dreading Sunday. I might not even watch it. It's Mother's Day. I might spare myself from watching it because I think it's going to be an absolute annihilation. And I do think one of the players who a lot of people are saying they think is the one who doesn't care is Van de Ven, and it wouldn't surprise me. I'm a massive Van de Ven fan. I've got him behind me. I love him, or I did love him. But since we've sort of gone, sort of plummeted this season, and there's been rumours that certain bigger teams want him, his head's been turned, and you can see it. It stands out a mile. And his whole attitude has changed. I think Romero's the same. Romero's disciplinary record, even Van de Ven's now, I mean, with that potentially.
It should have been a second red.
Yeah.
100%.
It all speaks of a lack of respect. It all speaks of a shambolic management structure. It's just, I don't know. And part of me, as much as I've always said I'd never choose relegation. You know, you could offer me the Champions League this season if we get relegated, and I still wouldn't choose it. But part of me thinks maybe if we go down, there may be some sort of reset. But what frightens me is that if we go down, it's going to take us a while to get back up, because I don't think we're actually as good as a lot of people think. And all the real top players, which there aren't many, our team is really average, but they leave. So it's quite a scary prospect. But, you know, people are saying, oh, it's dark times. Jimbo and I have got so much going on in our own life. This will not have any bearing on our life whatsoever. We will take it as it comes. You know, a bit of banter from rival fans is never ever going to bother me, because I'm 48 and I've heard it all. Nearly 48. I'm still 47 at the minute. I've heard it all before. You know, if Arsenal win the league, well done. They deserve it. Whoever's at the top after 38 games deserves it, and whoever's in the bottom three deserves to go down. It's really as simple as that. And I always say to Jim, when we was getting quite down about it, I said, look, if one of us died tomorrow, Tottenham wouldn't even batter an eyelid. So I ain't losing a wink of sleep over it. We will just take it as it comes. We'll have a few away days. I do plan to go to Lincoln if we're here, if we end up in the Championship, and we'll embrace it. And it could be fun, you know? Yes.
Really? I think it could. It could be a whole new experience, Kate. And surely the ticket prices will go down at the very least.
I know.
Look at the silver lining.
We might actually win some games, which would be amazing.
You might thoroughly enjoy yourself. You might not want to come back up. To be fair, Jenny's a Liverpool fan, and she says, I don't think my team is very scary. I'll be honest, we are not good. I hate saying this, but we have 0 fight. And to be fair, I do think people think of Liverpool and then Spurs doing terrible. Liverpool aren't doing fantastic either. So Jenny's probably very, very right there.
They've got a lot more talent than we have, though.
They've got a lot less internal, given even though they have had some internal scuffles, I don't think they're anywhere near the way you guys are. No. But Marv believes in you. Marv 100% believes in you guys. And No Man's Sky Clippy says Spurs versus Liverpool will be El Sacico. I mean, Street is saying Van de Ven stocks are dropping. They are. Do you know what? Actually, that reminds me what I was going to say. I think, right, while both Romero and Van de Ven, their discipline has been appalling. Do you know what I will say? And again, this is from the outside. I don't see them all the time. Van de Ven seems to be very much ego. Very much ego. His attitude stinks. Romero is a complete loose cannon. The man's crazy. However, I actually think his behaviour comes from genuinely caring about the club. Van de Ven, I think, cares about himself. Romero, I think, behaves erratically because he cares so much. You're probably getting the same result, but I do think the heart is in a different place with Romero than Van de Ven.
Yeah, I agree. I think Romero gets a lot of stick from me. I call him a bozo all the time, but I do think he does want the best for the team. But Van de Ven, I do think he started to believe his own hype and has become a bit cocky, and it's really showing with his performances. But someone put, Kate, you wouldn't take the Champions League and get relegated. No, I really wouldn't. Not in a million. Obviously, if we're going to get relegated anyway, I would take it. But if someone said you can win the Champions League, but you will have to be relegated, no, not in a million years.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Shem's very funny. He says, Dr. Tottenham likes to help teams that are having a terrible season, so Liverpool will enjoy the match. I'll tell you what, imagine the meltdown if you beat Liverpool.
Yeah. It's never going to happen, but it would be amazing.
sometimes things just make me laugh. And look, there's some lovely, lovely Liverpool fans like Jenny. Do you know what I mean? But it's, for me, sometimes it's just about like the upset. It's just about the chaos. Yes, sorry, Marv. Somebody did ask me, have I spoken about the ball boy? Not today, because today is only about Spurs. We are only talking about Spurs today. Tomorrow we're talking about Chelsea. Therefore, tomorrow we will be talking about the ball boy. Don't you worry. I have tabs ready for tomorrow. I hope Kai is going to bring his A game, because I am ready for him and Pedro Neto. But that is us for the evening. Thank you very much to the very lovely Kate for joining us. It wasn't too miserable. I thought we smiled for a lot of that video.
I find it therapeutic to get it all out, because I haven't streamed a week, so I can chill now. It's all out.
And amongst friends on a nice, with a nice gang in here. It's not, there's none of the rage baiting. It's just an actual conversation. But thank you everybody to joining us. I think most of you do already subscribe to Kate and Jimbo. If you don't get that done, smash a like if you forgot on the way in. Sometimes I am so fast trying to get into the chat, I forget to hit the like button because I just want to talk to people. So if you've done that, please do like it. And if you haven't done so already, please do subscribe. Back here tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Get your notifications on. And I am sure Kate and Jimbo will be back at some point to speak.
Tomorrow we're back at 12:30.
Tomorrow, 12:30. If you haven't got enough Kate for one night, tomorrow, 12:30. Get in there, cheer her up, and help Jimbo give her pelters. But have a good evening, folks. Talk to you all very soon.